Welcome to your 4 to 5. No need to adjust the TV screen.
I know,
This
right?
is not the Twilight Zone.
Exactly.
The gang's all off for on assignment today. So I've got Ben Briscoe, Ariel Cadet, Monique Robinson, and Tanya Rivera here.
We are happy to be here alongside, right, to join in on the 4 to 5. Hey, thanks for watching us on WFMY News 2, Fire Stick Roku, and the WFMY News 2 have so many different ways for you to watch.
I know, you better be watching somehow, right? Exactly. Well, we've got a packed show today, so settle on in. We're on top of two big stories. First Lady Jill Biden kicked off her education tour today with a stop in the Triad. Coming up, our Hunter Funk tells us why the First Lady's here in Greensboro. But first, we've got to turn our eye to the skies. There's pretty active weather right now. Monique, tell us about it.
Yes, our radar has been busy for at least the last 2 hours, not all day long, but things are certainly changing. This is a live, gotta get my left and right together. This is a live look at High Point where we see our skies are pretty cloudy out there. We're seeing rainfall well into the distance, currently not raining there, but our radar is picking up where we are seeing some rain activity. There is a yellow polyon on there showing you a severe thunderstorm warning. That's not in our area, but some folks still are getting to see some heavy rainfalls. Downtown Greensboro is one of those hot spots that's getting some rain, really depending on where you are located. You're seeing the heavy rainfall continuing to come on down right around that loop and right around McLeansville and specifically. No severe thunderstorm warnings are currently on that one. Zooming all the way over to right around Mount Airy, we are seeing some heavy rainfall there as well. It's pushing in towards the east. So again, not everyone's seeing rain, but I'm keeping a very close eye right around the Charlotte area where there is some heavy rainfall that's going to be pushing in right around south of Asheboro as we continue in through the next couple of hours. This particular storm does have a few lightning strikes with it. The other ones I've shown you don't. They've been just heavy rain downpours, but with this one we are seeing some lightning strikes, so that one's going to be quite loud. Temperature right now in High Point is 76 degrees. The clouds keeping it cool, but the humidity, well, it still feels sticky.
All right now the federal government is taking a really hard look at education as leaders work to combat learning loss amid the pandemic. So First Lady Jill Biden and Education Secretary Miguel Cardona, they're leading the charge with a back-to-school bus tour.
Yeah, over the next few weeks, they're traveling state to state, highlighting areas of concern and success. The first leg of their trip kicked off right here in Greensboro at North Carolina A&T University. Our Hunter Funk is live there now with the recap. Hey, Hunter.
Hey, yeah, this was the first stop, one of the first stops here in North Carolina for that Back to School for Success bus tour. Now, First Lady Dr. Jill Biden joined the Secretary of Education, A&T leaders, and Congresswoman Kathy Manning to talk about their efforts to recruit, respect, and retain teaching staff. Now, Dr. Biden highlighted North Carolina A&T for its programs to get qualified educators in the classroom, like having their own Aggie Academy, which allows college education students to teach kids before entering the workforce. She says the Biden-Harris administration continues to put that funding into education and fill the gaps.
It's not because they don't want to teach. It's because so many obstacles have stood in their way. Student loans, which now we have an answer to, and low salaries, class sizes, and safety concerns. So if we want to add more bright, talented people into this field, if we want educators to be able to do what they do best, we have to give them the support that they or you all deserve.
Yeah, and Dr. Biden put a big emphasis on diversity and inclusion as she was talking with some of those teaching students. Now, coming up at 5, we'll look closer at how that partnership with the GCS plays a role as well.
All right, in case you missed it, First Lady Jill Biden highlighted Guilford County Schools last month for its use of federal COVID relief funding. The district created several summer education camps to help combat learning loss. The First Lady encouraged other school districts to follow suit by taking advantage of government funding. GCS Superintendent Dr. Whitney Oakley says helping students recover from the pandemic is a major priority.
What we know we have to do is continue to focus on closing gaps for students. So if you think about it, individual students experience remote learning differently and experienced the pandemic differently. And so what we have to do is identify the individual skill gaps and address those. That's why we're doing things like the tutoring, because you get that individualized instruction.
Learning loss is just one of the concerns parents are worried about this school year. We want to know what else is on your mind. Share your school-related concerns or questions that you'd like us to explain. Just text the word survey to 336-379-5775. We'll respond with a link to our parent survey.
Now let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. We have an update on the murder investigation involving a 14-year-old Reedsville boy. Investigators say the teen shot and killed his 10-year-old cousin last week with a gun stolen from Forsyth County. Police say no adults were home at the time of the shooting. The 14-year-old was taken into juvenile custody and charged with first-degree murder. The little girl was a 5th grader at South End Elementary. Queen Elizabeth's body is making the journey from Scotland to England. King Charles III led a solemn procession behind his mother's coffin today as thousands of people packed the Royal Mile, saying goodbye to their queen. The Queen's body will be flown to London tomorrow night, where she will lie in state for 4 days. People will be allowed to pass her coffin anytime they'd like to thank her for 70 years of service. Former President Donald Trump's lawyers say that the DOJ's claim is misguided. Last month, the FBI seized several top-secret documents from his Florida home. Trump's lawyers say documents were there because of a storage dispute. The two parties are also at odds over who should serve as a special master in the investigation. Both sides are submitting a separate list of names. The judge is expected to make a decision sometime this week. Doctors are recommending people get the new COVID boosters. You might see it labeled as the bivalent booster. Scientists designed them specifically to target the Omicron variant as well as the original strain of COVID. The federal government approved the shots for emergency use authorization earlier this month. Several pharmacies in the triad are now offering the shots. When you schedule a booster at either CVS or Walgreens, you'll get a message saying they have the new booster shot available. Most pharmacies are accepting appointments now.
Right now, a triad community is remembering the life of a woman killed 21 years ago on September 11th. Sandy Bradshaw lived in Greensboro and worked as a flight attendant aboard Flight 93.
And of course, it's believed that her flight crashed into one of the hijacked planes that prevented it from crashing into another D.C. location. Leaders honored her memory today at her alma mater, Eastern Randolph High School in Asheboro.
Sandra Wall Bradshaw, Eastern Randolph, class of 1981, daughter, wife, mother, and flight attendant on United Airlines Flight 93.
Sandy Bradshaw contacted United Airlines, reported the hijacking, and described the terrorists. She then called her husband and told him she and the others were boiling water throw on the terrorists. As that call ended, she told her husband that she and the others were running up to first class. Without their courageous actions, there would have been more casualties.
Rest assured, Eastern Randolph will never forget.
Our own Sandy Bradshaw, and of course, calling them heroes because the flight attendants, those on board, the passengers, they all banded together.
Absolutely.
To take down those hijackers.
Can't even imagine what that feeling is during that time. You just are working together as a team. It's just so amazing to see that they all came together at that time. Just such a scary time.
And of course, you think about if you were on that flight, you might have been in shock, not able to do anything. The fact that they were able to think about a plan and actually execute it and take down the plane is just so shocking to me. I don't know if I could do it.
And then I think of myself, it's been 21 years. It seems like a really long time, and yet it seems like it was just yesterday.
I mean, most of those kids, all the kids in the audience weren't alive when this
during
happened.
that time. Yeah, we did a story yesterday about just how many people feel that exact same way that you said, Tanya, that it feels like a long time, but it also feels like it was just yesterday. You never forget where you were when that was happening and when you were watching all the things unfold on the TV. So just incredible.
I went to a an art exhibit this weekend, and one of the paintings was of New York City skyline in 1988. And of course, there was so much on that painting, but the only thing I could focus on were those twin towers.
Yeah.
Right.
Because again, it is a never forget. It really is. You zero in on that, and you just think of that day.
Yeah,
And I'm so glad we continue to honor Sandy at this ceremony every year.
for sure. It's definitely something that, that community, I'm sure, really does every year, and really holds that true to their hearts and comes together during that time. So amazing to see that, for sure.
Flames are literally out of control out west. The mosquito fire is the newest fire added to California's long list of other burning worries. Right now, there are 13 wildfire alerts pinned all across the state of California. When you add Oregon, Idaho, Washington, and Montana, we're talking about 100. When we get back, we're taking a deeper dive into the top trending weather story on Twitter, kicking off your week. It's new and next. Stick with us. $46,587 acres. That's about 20,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, and that's also the size of the mosquito fire in California. This massive fire has kept parts of Northern California, including El Dorado and Placer counties, in the line of fire for the last 5 days. According to California Emergency Management, the fire activity is expected to increase. The mosquito fire is one of more than a dozen large fires in the West. Now, this isn't the only worry folks in California have, but neighbors more than 100 miles away are literally being covered in smoke from this fire. Now, check out this tweet that's been circulating from the National Weather Service office in Reno, Nevada. Now, if you could just switch over to this camera shot here, we have this look. Yes, here you go. You guys can see the tweet here. This is in Reno, Nevada. It looks like a movie scene seen. Now, smoke is literally blowing all across this shot. You can see the smoke blowing in. That's in Reno, Nevada here. It's rushing in like a flood. It looks crazy, but this is literally what they're dealing with. This isn't the first time we've heard of fires in California or wildfires in general. Last November, we were all seeing ashy sky from the Pilot Mountain fire and biting our nails, just waiting for fire crews to say the fire is completely out. Now, regardless of where and when the fire is happening, we can't ignore it. The sky may make for cool, artsy pictures as the smoke mixes in with the yellow sun in the sky, but it's not safe to breathe. And if the winds are just right, that unhealthy air could be coming our way. We've seen it before. So this is a live look at the current smoke concentrations out in California. The darker purples are just showing you there's a significant amount of smoke in that area. When I widen this view, you can see California isn't the only hot spot dealing with smoke. We see this all across. I said earlier, those states of Idaho, Montana, they're all getting that high concentration of smoke. Now, again, that's well away from us. Some folks may have never even visited areas like that, but it doesn't matter. The wind can still send that air our way. So this is a map of the winds high up in the sky. And that's important because as the smoke rises, it goes way high in the sky. And then the question is, where does it go next? Well, that weather, it travels from west to east. So as these winds come from the west, they kind of dip down further south around central portions of the U.S. and sometimes they make their way all the way over to the northeast. Over the weekend, that's what happened. Folks that were all in the northeast, we talk about New York, New Jersey, they were seeing some of that smoke because the winds were simply pushing that air right over there. So again, we don't have to be on the west coast to get their impacts. It's all due to how the winds move. So we're always going to be keeping a close eye on weather, not only here at home, but even far away, so that we can keep you guys always weather aware.
It is just always crazy to me how something can really be across the
That far
nation
away.
and then it affects us.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important when we tell news stories. You know, we may not always concentrate on stories here at home because we need to know what's impacting in other places, because somehow, some way it impacts us. Even you guys talking about that 9/11 story. That wasn't in North Carolina, but there were some ties here at home.
Absolutely.
You know, I used to live in Reno about a decade ago, and
Wow.
so seeing that tweet that you shared, the smoke just coming over, brought back so many memories. The wildfires, it seems like there's a lot more of them, but they were a ton when I lived there too.
And it's so dry. I went to
Yeah.
visit Los Angeles like a year or two ago, and I remember just driving and seeing how dry the mountains were. You literally, on one side, it's completely brown. The other side, some vegetation,
Right.
but still completely dry.
Even weirder than this, we had a fire once up at Lake Tahoe, which is on the top of the mountain, and there was a blizzard that you had to drive through to get to the fire, to cover the
Wow.
fire. So I'm driving on the edge of the mountain, like the cliff wall right there, praying that you don't slide off on ice, knowing that you're going to an inferno up there.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow, so you have firsthand experience being in that area.
And in the middle of a wildfire. I don't think I've ever been
Me neither.
in the middle of that. Now, I've seen the smoke come through. We were at a national park and the wildfires came over 2 states away and then made it so that you couldn't even see across the lake where you were, but I've never gone to cover one.
The smell of smoke will stick with you for like 3 weeks
Oh, I
solid.
bet.
No matter how many times you do laundry, you can dry clean, it does not come out.
I mean, it's like when you're going to cook out at a grill and then your clothes
Right.
smell like smoke,
Yeah.
but imagine that on a much grandiose
Yeah.
scale where all of your clothes really smell. That's wow. Prayers for California.
And if you have some, issues, breathing and
Asthma,
stuff
yeah.
like that, you
yes.
need to be checking it the next couple of days for
Definitely
sure.
check with Monique. You're going to keep us updated on where that
I
smoke's
will.
going.
We'll be right back.
Weather, it's always ever changing, and today that's the same story. We're even seeing a completely different picture across all of our sky camera views, and even a difference in temperatures. Burlington at 76, Greensboro at 83, and High Point at 85. Getting those clouds, some of which being darker than others, and that's because some folks are seeing some rain and others aren't. You can see this is looping through the last 3 hours. We're seeing this line of storms that have crossed across Guilford County, Randolph County, and portions there of Alamance. This has spawned a severe thunderstorm warning in the Raleigh area. Not here at home, but we're going to keep a close eye in case something develops. Now, one thing I'm real excited about is how these dew points are going to change. I talked about how the weather is ever changing. This one's a good sign. The dew points currently are in the 60s. Over the weekend, they were in the 70s. It was sticky. It feels like what it feels along the coast all summer long. When I widen this view, you see this in the 40s. This is that good, nice, refreshing air. Well, it's coming our way. This is all behind a cold front. In fact, you can draw a line from Ohio all the way south to Mississippi and Louisiana. That's the cold front. It's moving through, and behind it, we're going to get the refreshing, dry, and less humid air, feeling like fall for several days, all the way through next weekend. So again, that cold front bringing in the nice air. Our 7-day forecast is staying dry through the weekend.
We only get one world, we need to protect it. So we're all trying to find ways to go green to protect the environment. Some are driving electric cars, some are getting solar panels. Well, now there's zero carbon emission businesses. CBS's Michael George takes us inside a U.S. hotel claiming to be 100% electric.
The first thing you'll notice about New Haven, Connecticut's Hotel Marcel is the unique architecture. The famed architect Marcel Breuer designed it in the 1960s as an office building, but the inside has received a modern-day makeover.
So what are we looking at here? So this is the battery room for Hotel Marcel's microgrid.
Architect and developer Bruce Becker designed this hotel to be all electric. It's self-powered using no fossil fuels. And it also aims to be the first net zero carbon emissions hotel in the nation.
Why was this important to you to make this happen?
I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to make a building that's going to be here for a while, that not only will it be beautiful, but it'll be beautiful for the environment.
Every inch of the hotel is designed with the environment in mind. Solar panels on the roof and parking lots keep the power on. Electric heat pumps and triple glazed windows moderate the temperature. There are electric car chargers, an electric shuttle van. Even the kitchen has an electric range instead of a gas one. While all this may seem expensive, Becker says it pays for itself.
It also keeps our energy costs down. If you're not using electricity, you net that out, you don't have an electric bill, so that helps financially.
Since opening in May, the no-footprint approach is working, bringing in customers like Edward McLaughlin.
Environmentally, it's highly appealing to me to be somewhere that leaves no footprint on our environment. It's incredibly important.
Becker says it will take a year of testing to confirm his building is truly net zero when it comes to carbon emissions. But he believes others could follow his lead and create a new standard for hotels in the future.
Makes me wonder how much the rooms are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you're doing something good for the environment, so therefore it is going to cost you
Listen,
more.
it's probably a green hotel in more ways than one. I bet that costs.
Oh yeah, the green is rolling in
Yeah.
for them, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like that before. It's super cool. I mean, it's definitely something that I hope other people follow in the footsteps, like he said, like, you know, saving the environment one step at a time, you know?
Green tourism is such a big deal. Even when you order an Uber now, there's a green Uber option.
Really?
Yeah, to get a hybrid or an electric car.
That's really cool. I've never seen that.
It's not cheaper. You would hope it would be, but it's not.
It's
Yeah.
not, but it's an option.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
We'll be back.
Of our homepage. Hi, mic check 1 2 3 8 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Mic check, mic check, mic check.
Hey y'all, you made it through your
This
Monday.
music.
Hey, we like the music. Yeah. Different.
Welcome to your 4 to 5. Speaking of different, you might notice some different people here today.
Hello.
I'm Ben Briscoe with Ariel Cadet, Monique Robinson, and Tanya Rivera.
Hey, we are so glad that you are with us on this Monday watching WFMY News 2. You know, you can get us on Fire Stick, Roku, the WFMY News 2 app. We just want to make sure that you know and you can tell your friends, hey, this is where you watch it.
Exactly. Well, we've got a packed show today, so settle on in. We're on top of several big stories. Queen Elizabeth is making her journey from Scotland to England. Coming up, we'll look at today's procession led by her son, King Charles III. But first, here in the Triad, weather is top of mind. We're dealing with a pretty active radar right now, Monique.
Yes, the radar has some stuff happening on it as we look to our skies. Some folks are seeing activity and others aren't. This is a live look at downtown High Point, where you do see some clouds that are around and some heavy rainfall in the distance. But as we look towards the radar on the right-hand side of me here, on the radar, we aren't seeing as much activity. There is a severe thunderstorm warning, actually 2 of them that are in the Raleigh area, but not here at home. Keeping a close eye on what's inching its way into Asheboro, as I see about roughly 10 lightning strikes with that storm. This is a flip on over to water vapor. I want to show you something neat with this. This is looking at how much moisture is in the air. If I were to slice out the earth and look at how saturated it is, it's showing up gray here because it's pretty wet. Now, as I widen this view, you get this chocolate mix in here. This brown, that's dry air, and it's not too far away. That swirl is pushing its way on in. That's behind the cold front that's moving through. Our futurecast is showing what we can expect for the next several hours. This particular futurecast is showing that activity right around Charlotte, crossing our southern area. So Asheboro, you guys are in the next spot to get some rainfall. Then it pushes off into Raleigh, and then for the rest of the night, this futurecast is keeping us dry, bringing in a few clouds here and there, and possibly a heavy downpour overnight going into your Tuesday. But after that, we're in the all clear. After that cold front moves through, we get much drier conditions for the rest of the week. In fact, this 7-day really doesn't have much of a tweak. It's the temperatures that change, the humidity. You can't see it on the 7-day, but it's no longer there. The overnight lows are going to be very refreshing. In fact, I think a lot of people will take a break from the AC and roll the windows down tonight as that humidity stays low and the temperatures fall into the 60s.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Today, First Lady Jill Biden and Education Secretary Miguel Cardona stopped by North Carolina A&T in Greensboro. This trip is a part of the White House's Back to School bus tour. Over the next few weeks, they'll be traveling state to state, highlighting how districts are recovering amid pandemic learning loss. The trip comes on the heels of Guilford County Schools getting national recognition for its learning loss efforts just last month. Right now, a Virginia woman is behind bars. She's connected to a deadly crash here in Greensboro. Police say last Friday, Kahani Moore was driving north on US 29 when she went off the road and hit a tree. They say Moore had 2 passengers in the car when she crashed. One of them died at the scene. The other was treated for minor injuries. Moore faces multiple charges, including felony death by motor vehicle, as well as driving while impaired. She is currently being held without bond. Former President Donald Trump's lawyers claim the DOJ's investigation is misguided. That's the word they use. Last month, the FBI seized several top-secret documents from his Florida home. Now, Trump's lawyers say the documents were there because of a storage dispute. The 2 parties are also at odds over who should be serving as that special master in the investigation. Both sides are now submitting names. The judge is expected to make a decision sometime this week. The November election, it is 2 months away. The voting process has already begun. The state started mailing out absentee ballots by request last week. Now, here are some dates to keep in mind over the next few weeks. October 14th is the deadline to register to vote. In-person early voting kicks off October the 20th. The deadline to get those absentee ballots back in the mail is Election Day, which is November the 8th.
The honors for Queen Elizabeth continue as her body makes the journey from Scotland to England. Here's a live look right now at her body at rest. You can see the coffin there, mourners going by. This is in Scotland. Earlier today, King Charles III led a solemn procession behind his mother's coffin as thousands of people packed the Royal Mile, saying goodbye to their queen. CBS's Donna Backus has what's in the days ahead.
Queen Elizabeth's 4 children, including King Charles III, stood guard at their mother's coffin at St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, Scotland, in a ceremony known as the Vigil of Princes.
The Queen, like so many generations of our family before her, found in the hills of this land and in the hearts of its people a haven and a home.
The new monarch acknowledged his mother's deep connection to Scotland in his first address to the Scottish Parliament as king. Earlier in the day, in a solemn procession, the king and his siblings walked behind the hearse carrying the Queen's coffin as thousands lined the streets to pay their respects. King Charles also took time to personally thank well-wishers.
I think it's all very emotional, the fact that he's out so close to his mum's death.
He basically said to us that he had been dreading the moment coming and he was trying to keep everything going.
The Queen's coffin will come back to England on Tuesday, while her remains will lie in state for 4 days. Also Monday, Prince Harry released his first public statement on the Queen's death, calling his granny a guiding compass for the nation. There's word Harry, who stepped back from royal duties in 2020, will not be dressed the same as other family members for the Queen's funeral.
It's very unlikely that we will see Prince Harry in military uniform. Only working members of the royal family wear military uniform. Harry is no longer a working member of the royal family, but that will be painful to him.
Over the weekend, the King's sons and their wives greeted the public together at Windsor Castle, an appearance many hope is a sign of reconciliation. Danya Backus, CBS News, Windsor, England.
There's been lots of people asking online, what's going to happen with the Queen's corgis? The dogs earned a reputation for actually snapping at the heels of royal retainers and were a descendant from a dog called Susan. The puppy was an 18th birthday gift from the Queen's parents. The BBC says the pets will remain together and in the care of the Queen's family. They're going to be jointly adopted by her son, Prince Andrew, and his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who, guys, live in the same house.
I know, when you brought this up, you were like, who does that?
Yeah, that's
maybe it's a big house.
It's got to be a gigantic house.
I mean, it's like a castle, right?
It has to be. It has to be.
And you
you
know,
have the dogs, so it'll make it all better. Everything makes it better with dogs.
There's a lot of dogs to make it better. They had such a nasty divorce too. Like, that's what's really shocking about this to me, that they're able to live together.
Well, what I hope is that over time they realize that they have children together, right? And so they're always going to be in each other's lives.
So
and
you
so
just-
let's behave and let's figure it out.
Yeah, it's also good if they have a big house because like one person can be on one side, the other person can be on the other side.
Agreed. I was reading about the corgis, and I thought it was interesting. Not only did she love the corgis, but she liked to mix corgis with dachshunds.
I saw that.
And they're a funny-looking dog, aren't they?
Yeah.
We'll have to find a picture of it.
For sure, it's an interesting thing that she does with that, and I mean, you know, it's sad for them, for the corgis too. I'm sure they're really sad.
That was their person.
Yeah.
I mean, we know her as the queen, but to the dogs, that was just their person.
Yeah.
I feel like King Charles needs some pets.
Yeah.
Like,
he
it will help
has to
humanize
have
him a
some.
little bit.
Yeah, because I know, I feel like people keep saying that he's not as personal as his
He
mother.
needs to pick a dog breed,
Yeah.
like an Airedale Terrier or something like that.
And walk with the dog.
Yes.
And make him feel more warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. And do the same thing she did, like breed them over time and like
Become known for that.
Yeah. Makes them feel a little bit better. So we'll see.
I'm just going to watch his grandchildren because I think they're really cute.
Yeah.
All right.